Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me again today. And go ahead and ask you, if you will, to like and to share the post today. And as you're doing that, if you'll get your Bible and join me in the 91st Psalm, Psalm 91. And we're going to spend a few days looking at this psalm. And this psalm is an interesting psalm. It has been called actually an orphan psalm. And the reason for that is we just don't know anything about it. We don't know where it came from. There's a lot of debate. Some people think David wrote it. Some people think Hezekiah wrote it. Others think Nathan, Isaiah. Some believe that Moses wrote the 90th and the 91st Psalm because, again, as we look, you'll see there's clearly some connection between the two Psalms. They both seem to, one interesting theory is that both the 90th and the 91st Psalm are based on Deuteronomy 33, verse 27, and these two psalms come out of that verse. A lot of thoughts about this psalm. It appears to be, regardless of who wrote it, it definitely appears to be connected to the previous psalm. Again, it's almost as if somebody read the 90th Psalm and said, well, we need to say one. We just need to add a little bit to it. We need to that psalm doesn't stand by itself. We need to say something else, and so it's really kind of a curious psalm in that regard. But this psalm is one that specifically it addresses the issue of when we need to, particularly need to feel the presence of God, that we can rely on Him, that we can go to Him and place our confidence in Him, and when we understand and know God and know His promises, then we can have the confidence we need. And this psalm is going to go back and really look back at the promises that God made to Israel and how those should be an encouragement to the people of Israel. And again, now to be clear, these are not promises. We can't take these Old Testament promises and put them towards the church. They were written to two different people. But what we do learn again is that we can place our confidence in Him. That we will have persecution in life. Jesus told us that. But even in those times, that we can place our confidence and our hope in God Himself. And so, as we look at this psalm, the challenge for us today is to look at this psalm in light of and keeping in mind the teaching of the New Testament. And so that His presence is actually in us, that we don't have to go to the tabernacle or the temple. And so we do have to look at this psalm through New Testament eyes to get a complete understanding and apply the message correctly that is in this psalm. And so let's jump in here, the first couple of verses. Verse 1 says, He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And so, again, we're going to do everything possible to look at this psalm with, again, through New Testament eyes. And so, again, as we look at this, the promises here, what this psalm says, apply specifically to those who draw near to God, those who know His presence, and those who know Him. So, in New Testament eyes, looking at this verse, this psalm, the promises, anything we glean from this psalm is for those who know Christ, who know Him personally, who are, again, in the New Testament sense, dwelling in the secret place of the Most High, abiding with God. And so again, we're continually to be drawing closer to Him, to continually be developing our relationship with Him and walking closer to the Lord daily. Verse 2, he goes on, says, I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him will I trust. And so he's, again, just simply placing his confidence in the Lord and trusting Him. And all through this psalm, one of the things you're going to see is, again, if you notice, we've already seen it here in the first two verses, the Most High, Almighty, I'll say of the Lord, refuge, fortress, God. And so I didn't even count them as I was going through there. The various descriptors, the various names that the psalmist uses to describe God. And each one of these names means something different. Each one of these names describes something different about the personality and the character of God. When He calls Him the Most High, that is the Hebrew name Elyon for God. And that is, again, Most High is a good translation of that name. It just is highest, supreme, owner of the universe. And so He labels Him that way, the Almighty. That is the name Shaddai. You may have heard their songs, El Shaddai. Well, Shaddai is, again, Almighty, once again, is a good English rendering of that name. That again, it's saying that He is sufficient for all our needs. And we have Lord, again, all capitals. We've talked about that before. That is, again, the Hebrew name Jehovah or Yahweh. That is the covenant God. And then the last proper name, again, you can see refuge and fortress too, but actual names of God that are used there. Then you have God with a capital G and in lowercase letters, and that is the name Elohim. And that name emphasizes and tells us about, again, God's power, and that we have a personal relationship with Him. And in all of that, look what he's saying. He said, by using all those names and all the various ways to describe the power and the nature of God, he is saying again that because of the security, the blessings of God, He is our refuge and our fortress. Again, we're talking about a psalm here that is written for when we feel defeated, when we feel oppressed, when we feel have a desperate need to experience the presence of God in our life. The psalmist says, "This is what I remember. This is what I think about. I understand." By using those various names, he is showing us that he understood who God is, that he understands the nature of God. And that so then, because of what he knows about His nature and His character from these names, he can rely on Him as his refuge, his shelter, his hiding place, his fortress. We know what a fort is. He says, I can rely on God for all those things, for my protection, for my security, and I can go to Him when I feel lonely, when I feel endangered. I can rely on God Himself. And so, and we have to remember again, God never changes. And so we need to remember, one of the things I've talked about, I've said before, use the phrase, put this psalm in your tool belt. One of the greatest things you can put in your tool belt is just even a basic knowledge of some of the names of God and what they reveal about Him. And there's countless books you can purchase that show you the names of God, the name of the Son, the name of the Spirit. That by knowing those names, they tell us of His nature and His character, who He is, how He behaves, how He's going to act, and so we can know our God through His names. And again, these two verses are a great example of that. And so it's important for us to, in our walk with the Lord, one of the areas of attention, one of the areas of study, that we take time to know who God is, so that when we are desperate, when we are in a bad situation, feeling separated from God, we can go back to that knowledge of who He is, that He is our sustainer, that He is all powerful, that we can go back to that knowledge of who God is, and we can rely on that, and we can base our walk on that knowledge of who God is and what His character is, and knowing that He never changes. If He was a refuge and a fortress, if He was Almighty, if He was Jehovah, if He was Elohim, if He was Shaddai to Moses, He still has those same characteristics today for whatever you come against. He is still in control. He is still on the throne. And so we don't have to fear. We don't have to be afraid because we know that this great God, He is our refuge and our fortress. All right. I hope today that whatever you face, whatever you go against, you'll remember that our God is our refuge and our fortress, and we can put our hope, we can put our faith, we can put our trust in Him. All right, have a great day. We'll see you back here first thing Wednesday morning.